Hey guys, welcome to my Cairo gay travel guide review. I'm gonna jump right in because for those of you guys who watch my other videos, you know that I have a tendency to babble and I wanted to keep this one short and sweet, especially since my travel guide reviews are usually not that popular, so no reason to drag them out, right? Alright, so I'm gonna start off by doing obviously the gay travel part because that's what you guys are here for. And then for anybody who's still willing to stick around afterwards, I'm going to kind of give my overall feedback of how I feel life is in Egypt and how I enjoyed it. So first of all, I'm only going to review Cairo. I was also in Luxor and Alexandria. I guess if you guys have some questions, you can always just ask me directly. But Cairo is the only place I'm going to be reviewing. So I was in Egypt. It's my last day. I leave tomorrow. Altogether, 8 full days. If you include the days I arrived and leave, it's 10. And Cairo being in Egypt, which is a Muslim country, I guess it depends on how you guys define the Middle East. To me, North Africa pretty much is part of the Middle East, just because in terms of culture and identity, they align more with the Middle East than they do with the rest of Africa. And having said that, as a Muslim country, of course, it's not particularly open-minded about homosexuality, so you're not going to find gay bars, gay clubs, a gay district, gay friendly stores, gay groups. You're not going to find any of that stuff here. Which means that the two things it's going to come down to, if you do decide to come here, is cruising and meeting somebody online. Those are the only two options you really have. In terms of cruising, the most accepted cruise area is by the main train terminal, where I actually went to today, because, for my viewers, I'll do anything. I personally had no interest in going there, or no reason to go there, so today I had nothing else to do. I was like, okay, I might as well check it out, see if it's true. That way I can give you guys some honest feedback about it. And yes, it is true. I wasn't even in the terminal yet, and I already had 2 people basically face fuck me. And then I got into the terminal, and it was another maybe 5 guys who were seeking my attention. Yeah. If you guys want to know more about, I might talk a little bit more about that in the next part, but for right now, all you guys need to know where. The other thing is along the Corniche, which is the river walk, is what I'm going to call it. I don't know if people would say that's a fair translation of that word. Along the bridges, that's always very cruisy, and the first place I really noticed that to be cruisy was in the Egyptian Museum of Art, and I actually found out that is a cruise area, and there I actually got very heavily cruised by several people. Actually, right when I walked in, I got cruised by this really, really cute little boy, but he really was a boy, he was 15. So those are the main cruising areas if that's something you're into. And like I said, otherwise, online is your best bet. I do want to tell you guys one thing that happened to me here in Egypt. This is something that has never happened to me on any of my travels before. Excuse me. And that is, a couple of nights ago I ordered room service, and the guy who delivered my food, long story short, he basically made a pass at me, and before I literally got to the point where I was like, no, that's not what I'm looking for, he already had his dick out. So it was a little bit weird for me. I was kind of like, okay, thanks for the food, and thanks for showing me your dick, you can leave now. And I think if I was in a different country where being gay wasn't as big of a deal. I honestly don't know what the exact laws are in Egypt. I do know in a lot of Muslim countries, prison, maybe even as severely as death can happen. So I didn't make a point out of reporting it, which, if I had been in Germany or Sweden or something, I probably would have had his ass fired. Or no, maybe I wouldn't have had him fired. Because the whole thing to me kind of was just hilarious. Although, I don't know, yeah. But also kind of depressing that people are so desperate because of the way their society is. That is one of their only outlets to get sex. I don't know. So yeah, that's really all there is to tell you guys in terms of coming here for men. One cautionary note though, again, you have to know a little bit about the culture and the country of a place before you go there, and before you make assumptions that are not true. So be very, very, very careful with your cruising. Besides the fact that obviously it's not gay friendly here. Social acceptable behavior for men here is very, very different than it is in Western culture. The men here walk hand in hand or even arms interlinked, and they blow each other kisses, they wink at each other. A lot of things are in Western culture are not acceptable between two men unless they are gay, and then even then it's not really socially acceptable. And all these things do not mean that they're gay. They might be gay, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's like straight people very much so do it. And actually, so be very careful if you think somebody's cruising you, unless it's very obvious, and they will make it very obvious when they are interested. So, but just don't take that alone as, oh god, that guy's cruising me. But I think it's one of those things that I think is a little bit funny about how the Middle Eastern culture is in terms of homosexuality. I mean, it's almost if you can convince them that you're actually heterosexual, you could get away with pretty much doing anything with another man. They could probably catch you having sex with another man, as long as you can somehow convince them that you're doing it out of a non-homosexual reasoning. They probably wouldn't even think, then they would probably tell you that it's okay. It's only the actual being of homosexuality that bothersome to them. It's not even, it's not even like being physical with another man that's necessarily like I said, like holding hands, kissing, all this kind of stuff, being very touchy-feely with another man does not in any way, shape, or form bother them. It really just comes down to actually being gay, which is it seems really stupid if you think about it. I'm like, either you're completely disgusted by the idea of men in any way, shape, or form being intimate, or you should just not care at all. On the other hand, which is so weird, which again, I guess is the flip side, here they're very comfortable with women and women holding hands and kissing and walking arms interlinked, and men doing the same thing. But then here, men and women, that's not really socially acceptable. Like there's a tiny little bit of PDA between men and women, but really, really, really miniature. And in the Western culture, it's the other way around. Like men and women in public are just like practically fucking already in a lot of places. And men and men being intimate in public is very, I mean, obviously it depends on where you will live in Western culture, depending on how acceptable it is. But overall, you're going to get more weird looks than you would here. So that's all I have to say about in terms of gay travel. I'm going to now stop it for those who are not interested in hearing what I think of Egypt overall and my experience and what I think if people should come here or not. So if you're not interested in any of those things, then you don't have to keep watching. Okay? So thanks for watching, and leave comments. Hey you guys, so we're actually already back in Greece. And don't ask me how I managed to do it, considering I did a 35-minute video review on Egypt, and I still managed to forget things. It's hard to believe when somebody does as much babbling as I do that he actually manages to forget stuff. But that's probably the problem. I just babble without actually giving any information. So I'm cutting this in because there's one thing I forgot, and there's one thing I wanted to tell you guys I found on the flight back from Egypt that I think is kind of important. It should be in the gay review part, and then the next part is going to continue. So first let me say the one thing I promised this guy in Egypt was a car driver. I told him that I would tell people that if you do go to Luxor to hang out with him, or rather to hire him as your cab driver, as I already told you guys, they will try to cheat you as much as possible. He will also try to cheat you, but if you tell him that, you know, Rasta man, that's what they call me, then he might cheat you a little bit less. So his name is Fox, car number 1026, and his mobile number, and I have the right to give out his mobile number, he said so, 002-01-0968-25429. Right. I hate not being able to keep promises when I said I'd make them. Now, more importantly, what to the gay review, I actually got this newspaper on the flight back to Greece, and it had an article in it that I thought was really important that you guys should get. Or rather, there's two articles. This is kind of here. First, right on the front page, they show activist protest 3-year sentence for prominent 25th of January revolutionaries. So these revolutionaries who actually like did a certain amount of violence and aggravation, got a 3-year sentence, which, depending on what side you are in terms of what you believe should happen in Egypt, you might either think is just or not just. What I think is crazy about this, though, is right on the next page, there is an article, right here, which you guys probably won't be able to... Egypt court sentences 4 gays to prison. A court in Egypt sentenced 4 men to up to 8 years in prison on Monday for practicing homosexuality. A judicial office said prosecutors had accused the men of holding deviant parties and dressing in women's clothes. 3 were sentenced to 8 years and the 4th to 3 years in prison. Prosecutors have used a law banning debauchery and try homosexuals in the past. Those accused of homosexuality are often forced to undergo medical tests to establish they are habitual gays. A practice rights groups have decried as abusive. Homosexuality is not tolerated across the Middle East and much of Africa. So, this article to me was really crazy to read just because, I already told you guys, is Egypt a gay travel destination? No, obviously. There is gay people there, obviously. You can find gay sex, if that's your point. Relationship dating is probably going to be very hard because most of the people there are too paranoid or scared to even consider dating. A lot of them live that double life where they're fucking men at night and during the daytime they have a family. But what I thought was more scary about this article was the fact that here are these terrorist people and they get 3 years in jail, and then in Egypt being gay gave them 8 years in jail, which is so incredibly ridiculous. And medical tests, which also sounds really scary. So, gay travel destination, Northern Africa, Egypt. No, just, be safe. So, that's it. Alright, so maybe some of you guys decided to stick around for me to tell you my overall feeling of Egypt. I have to, I actually filmed this video like 4 or 5 times because the first couple of days I was here, I was really, really just hating it. Hating it. And to me, it felt like Morocco all over again. Like, it's just, the culture is just very difficult for me. And even though I still have to say I personally would never ever come back to Egypt. I don't find it, I don't like it. I do have to say I've changed my opinion somewhat in terms of, so the 2 main things that bother me here again, and you've heard, anybody who's watched any of my other travel guide videos has heard me say this about other stuff, is I don't like being haggled, or they call it hustling. They'll always be like, I'm not trying to hustle you. And then it's like, okay, if you say that, I already know you're going to hustle me. Hustling and how dirty it is. Like, those are just 2 things I absolutely cannot get comfortable with. They go against everything that is the core of my being. Some people might not have a problem with that. Some people might even think it's adventurous to go somewhere where you're constantly being haggled and whatever. And some people might even be able to turn a blind eye to how dirty it is. I cannot. I will not. It's just. To me. I just don't like it. Like I said, it goes against who I am as a person. I have lightened up a little bit about how much I hated it in the beginning, just because I feel I can sense a little bit the panic in a lot of these people. Prior to the revolution in 2011, Egypt was always a booming place for tourists. Like, it was always full of tourists. Always, 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 always. Like, historically, Egypt is probably the #1 tourist destination, or the first tourist destination to ever even exist for Western culture. And since the revolution, I mean, it's practically dead here. Every hotel I went into, I got free upgrades into like the nicest hotel room because there's nobody here. All of my tours that I had, it was just me because nobody else was on the tour. The pyramids, the temple, I was one of only maybe like 5 or 6 tourists in the whole place. So what has happened is, this is a culture that already is really big on haggling and hustling and, getting in your face. And now, because a lot of people who are relying on tourists to sustain them, and that's what they live off of, these people are not here. So now they're so desperate, they are doing it even more intensely. And I think they've kind of gotten themselves cut. It's like, in German we call something a Teufelskreis, when we say like, there's something bad, and that bad thing happens, and that makes another bad thing happen, that makes another bad thing, and it just keeps going around and around and around. So now I feel like the few people who are still willing to come to Egypt, even though it has the reputation it does now, are going to be completely turned off because of the fact that these people are now hustling and haggling you 10 times even more than they might have just a couple of years ago, because of the fact that they all are worried that they can't survive. And so on a logical level, I can say I can sympathize and I can understand. At the same time, I have to say it's one of the reasons why I would never come back here anymore. It has left a completely unpleasant feeling for me at this place. Cairo wasn't so severe, but like Luxor, which completely survives off of tourism, I'm sorry, but it was a horrible experience for me. It was absolutely horrible. I left my hotel room, and right away I'd have like 6 people who be like, do you need a taxi? Do you need a taxi? Do you want to ride on my horse buggy? And I'd be like, no. And literally, if I got one of them to go away, 2 people more would come and ask me if I need a taxi. And then I'd get them to go away, and then somebody would come and ask me to go in their store and buy some crap. And then this person came and asked me if I wanted to ride on a felucca. Then this person again came for a taxi. This person wanted me to do a tour. Then this person wanted to buy me some crap. And it literally, like, I couldn't even walk down the street without constantly being haggled. And it for me was such a draining experience that I found no pleasure in being there at all, even though the monuments here are obviously amazing. And another thing, which I don't know if this happens to other tourists, I don't know, but for some reason I'm like a local celebrity. Every day since I've been here, I have been stopped at least 3 times because somebody wanted to take a picture with me. And the first couple of days I just was like, okay, but then it just also became annoying. Because it was like, do you need a taxi? Do you want to buy some crap? Can I take a picture with you? Can you go, let's go into my shop. I just want to talk to you. Oh, let me show you how the way is. Of course, for money. Oh, do you need a cab? Cab. And then take a picture with me. And I'm just like, it was non-stop. And again, like I said, in Luxor, I was in the temple, which is actually like, basically an open air museum, doing my thing, sightseeing. And this teacher came with like his 2nd grade class, and I had to spend 45 minutes taking pictures with them over and over. All of them wanted pictures with me, and then some of them wanted 3 pictures with me, and then the teacher wanted pictures with me. And I was just like, I'm here on my vacation. I want to look at this temple. I'm not interested in taking pictures with people I don't know. And I know none of this is done in a malicious way, like I said. These people are just trying to survive. But to me, it was so draining and such a complete turn-off. I would not recommend Egypt to somebody else. It just, to me, especially now and it's sad because less and less tourists, it's probably going to get worse and worse and worse. And I would not want to do that to a friend of mine. I would not want to tell them, go to Egypt, and then they have to go through the crap I have to go through. Like, it just is very unpleasant. And like I said, the other thing that really to me is such a turnoff is just the garbage. And I'm sorry, I've said this in other videos, and I've gotten some negative feedback for it. And honestly, I couldn't give two shits less if you guys think I'm a jerk for it, because it is the honest to God truth. This place is a dump. It is an absolute dump. The water's polluted, the air is polluted, they throw trash everywhere. Even in the Nile, which is like their only water supply, and they worship it as like, you know, the life giver to their country. And there's parts of the Nile that are so plugged up with garbage that you can literally like walk across it. That's how much garbage is in there. And it's like, you have kids swimming in one part while another person is peeing in another, somebody's throwing garbage here, there's like dogs and cats eating the garbage in one place, and another place a woman's like cleaning her laundry. And to me, like, I don't care. I absolutely don't care how poor a country is. You do not have to be that dirty. You can take the responsibility and say, okay, maybe the government isn't helping us so much, but we will make a designated area to put our garbage, and maybe not throw it right into our main water source or right in front of our house. And something that's even more depressing, they would even throw it on the monuments. I saw people sitting on the pyramid, like drinking Coke, and then they just throw the Coke bottle on the pyramid. Like, I mean, like, this is a historic monument of so much value to the human race, and they treat it like nothing. People just climb on it, they piss on it. There's just no value taken of any of these things. The sphinxes, they graffiti on them, they throw garbage near them. Like, I took pictures of it, and it just, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make an excuse for these people here, and I'm not going to say it's acceptable, and I'm not going to be like, oh, but you know, this and that. No, that is wrong, it is gross, and it's not acceptable. Period. It's not. I don't care how poor you are, how bad your state is, that's not acceptable to me. I don't care how many negative feedbacks I get. That is really gross. So yeah, overall, definitely not an Egypt fan. I will say there's a couple of good things. Number one, I do have to say, as much as I just bitched about the people, I do have to say they are actually very nice. If you get beyond the haggling, they all are very friendly. They all, like, every day, like, I leave my hotel and people just come up and say like, oh, welcome to Egypt, and we're glad you're here, smiling, friendly, like that kind of stuff. Great. They're so approachable, they're so friendly, they're all willing to help. That is amazing. Like, that part I think is really great. The food is also extremely cheap, and if you know where to go where you're not going to have to worry about contamination, the food's also very good. So, and I love food, so that's a really good thing too. Where it just got cut off. So I was going to say the food is also really good, and it's really cheap if you know where to go. Of course, it being Egypt, you do have to somewhat be careful about where you eat and where you go, because, like I said, there's definitely a lack of hygiene and a lack of understanding how throwing garbage in your water, just where you get your drinkable water, probably will cause health issues. Like, there's just an overall lack of understanding of that, it seems. And the other thing I was going to say is, even though Egypt right now has a really bad reputation, I honestly felt completely safe the whole time. And a couple of days ago when I made this video, I actually was even going to say, people, you're absolutely okay to come here. It is 100% safe. And then the next day, there was a bomb attack. There was like 3 bombs that went off in the Cairo University, which is like 10 minutes away from my hotel. So, I'm going to say Cairo is still very safe for tourists. The issues that are happening in Egypt are issues that have nothing to do with tourism or with foreigners. This is like an internal issue with them. Now, is it 100% safe? No, because yeah, there is the chance that maybe I could have been sightseeing in the Cairo University and then the bomb would have blown me up. So Is it completely safe? No. But I would say overall, as a tourist, you don't have to, like, the whole thing, you're gonna get kidnapped, or, you know, they're gonna kill you because you're foreign and you're not Muslim or whatever. Like, that's bull. Like, that's not gonna happen. As a matter of fact, another very positive trait, I think, in Muslim cultures in general, and I had this in Morocco, and I have this here in Albania and a lot of those places. I have actually, in terms of being kidnapped or being robbed or people hurting you, I feel safer here than I would in certain parts of LA or certain parts of New York. I think in New York City, if you go into a bad area, you're more likely to get shot or stabbed or pickpocketed or robbed than you are in Cairo. Like, in that sense, these people are very honest. It's very safe. I've never in any way, shape, or form worried about walking around. And like I told you guys, I'm not one of those people who goes from my hotel straight into the air conditioning bus, goes to the site, gets out, takes 3 pictures, gets back in the bus, and comes back to the hotel. Like, I have walked this whole city. And there are some parts that look, okay, not some parts, pretty much the whole city is a dump. But there's some parts that look even dumpier than the dump. And that was one thing I never worried about, is that someone's going to attack me or try to steal my wallet. Like, it just doesn't happen. I'm sure it does happen, but on the flip side, though, in a country like Egypt, you will never be cheated illegally, but you have to be very careful because they will cheat you legally to kingdom come. Everything they try to sell you, every tour, every taxi, everything, they will ridiculously try to cheat you. And not only will they try to cheat you in that way, a lot of people will actually just come up to you and say, give me some money. Like, even that's happened to me, especially the children. They'll come up to you and be like, give me money. And it's like, I'm not going to give you money. Like, why should I? So, yeah, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate. Maybe like the people who watch this video who are from Egypt, they're going to be like, you didn't understand the culture. But to me, honestly, I think that's such bullshit. I came here, I've interacted with plenty of people, I've experienced it. And yeah, maybe if you're Arab and you don't look like a foreigner, you don't look like a tourist, the way you're treated here is very different. But as a tourist, and I'm doing a tourist guide review, I'm telling you this is the way it is. And this is not a pretty city. And I'm not going to apologize for telling the truth. I am not going to apologize for the fact that this city is a dump and that it's dirty and that the buildings are completely falling apart and trashy and the people don't care. The people don't, and they don't care. I'm sorry, they don't. Why should I then why should it be my responsibility to be like, oh, and this and that and this and that? This is their country and they should clean it up. Same way, I would say I would take the responsibility for my country. I don't expect foreigners to come to my country and clean up or whatever. No, that is the responsibility of me and the other people who are from where I'm from. So, I know I'm going to get some hate. I know some people are going to be like, you didn't experience the real Egypt, which is a bunch of bull. Because I think as humans, we've now gotten to a point where we just feel the need to lie about everything and sugarcoat everything, because if we don't sugarcoat, then heaven forbid somebody might get offended, or heaven forbid somebody might have to be forced to face reality. And the thing is, Egypt has amazing potential, and it has so much history and so much culture and so many things that people really want to see. So it's not like it wouldn't be feasible for it to be an amazing place, not just for tourists, but even for its own people. But if they're not willing to fix it, then it's not my responsibility to. So go ahead and leave your negative feedback. Go ahead and tell me I'm a jerk and an ass and whatever, because I'm not going to tell people lies that aren't true. Just making sure. Yes. Oh, and one little story still. When I was talking about tourism stuff, because I already said like they leave garbage on all of the historical buildings and graffiti, and there's so much they don't care. Like, to them, it's not important. One of the other things that happened is when I went to the pyramids, the Great Pyramid, you can go inside, and the electricity went down. And that's one of the problems they're having in Egypt right now, is that the electricity goes out every once in a while. I'm sorry, but that, to me, that was absolutely unacceptable for your main tourist attraction, especially when you're a country that relies on tourism to flourish. That pyramid should be in tip-top shape. It should be amazingly prepped. It should be the setup, the way you go in. The lights should never have an issue. Like, you can't do that for your main tourist. Like, to me, that was really kind of like, especially like this being something that has been a tourist attraction for over 100 years now. It's not like, oh, 2 weeks ago somebody was like, wow, we discovered pyramids in Egypt, and now they're still trying to figure it out. This has been the main tourist attraction of Egypt for over 100 years. They should have that shit figured out by now. And still, it's so unorganized, and it's a complete mess. And again, that's something I just haven't, there's just no excuse for that. So, like I said, overall, I don't think it's worth coming here. Even as a gay travel destination, I don't think it's worth coming here unless you're really into like Arab guys, and you think they're super sexy and you just want to come here for that. Then maybe it's worth you going through the trouble dealing with the cruising and hoping you get somebody. But even that for me is not worth it, because I actually didn't see as many attractive Arab men here as I thought I would. Yeah. So that's it. Of course, leave comments, leave feedback, subscribe if you want to, tell me I'm a jerk if you feel like it, whatever. I don't really care anymore at this point. I just give you my honesty. If honesty doesn't matter to you people, then I don't know what else to give you, because that's all you get from my channel. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well, and be safe. Bye. I wanted to show you guys my view. The guy downstairs, I guess, liked me, so he hooked me up and gave me a free upgrade. So I have view of the Nile, which is pretty cool, and I got a sweet ass room. Definitely not the room I paid for. Let's see what we got. Oh, minibar, which I'm not going to use because I'm cheap. Let's take a look at the bathroom. Nicer than the bathroom in the house I'm living in right now. So thank you, mister, for giving me a free upgrade. Yeah!
I forgot to tell you something.
Yes?
The Great Pyramid took 20 years to be built, and King Khufu or Khufu mainly. That's a place called Nile with the skyscrapers. It's actually very fashionable to have a unit or a flat apartment near the Nile. Should be very rich, multi-million actually, Egyptian million, I mean. And as I told you that the lighthouse was here. It was a building like to come spend a long time. Some honeymooners like to spend their honeymoon here if they get married in the summer. But if it's the winter,